All right, well, thank you for taking part in our virtual media briefing regarding City of Dallas preparations for the winter storm that's expected to impact the region late Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I'm Rick Erickson, Deputy Director of Communications, Customer Experience, and 311. I'll be moderating this call, and Claudia Terrascano will be available for Spanish interviews following this call.
Buenas tardes a todos ustedes y gracias por ser parte de esta llamada virtual, de esta rueda de prensa. El tema es las tormentas y cómo la ciudad se está preparando. Esta tormenta que se espera para el próximo miércoles en la noche hacia lo que es el día jueves. Así que voy a estar moderando en español al final para aquellos que estén interesados en alguna entrevista en español. Estamos planeando más avances de prensa a partir del jueves y desde luego que vamos, muy importante, se va a ver actualizaciones publicadas en dallascitynews.net, el cual también se puede presionar el botón para que traduzca a cualquier otro idioma. Así que vamos a continuar con la rueda de prensa. Pasamos con Rick.
Gracias. Thank you. We are planning for future media updates beginning on Thursday, and we will send out media advisories for each update call. We will also post updated city information on dallascitynews.net and our social media sites. Now let's get updates from our key city departments. Then we will open up the lines for media questions. Dallas Manager of Public Information Jennifer Brown will announce each media organization in order of registration. This call will wrap up by 1:15, and if you have any follow-up questions that we don't get to, please email us at media@dallas.gov. First up will be our Emergency Management and Crisis Response Director, Kevin Oden.
Thank you, Rick, and good afternoon, and thank you to everyone who's joining us today. Again, my name is Kevin Oden. I'm the Director of Emergency Management and Crisis Response here at the city. I want to begin this by thanking the Mayor and City Council for their support, and also by recognizing our City Manager for her leadership and empowerment, as well as my gratitude to our directors and all the staff that are preparing and working this event and are here today to provide updates and answer any questions. The second thing, definitely want to acknowledge the work of all of the meteorologists and their teams who've been providing tremendous information to all of us that we're using as we move forward through this event. The purpose of today's call is to provide you with the latest updates on the city's preparedness actions, as well as the things that we anticipate for any winter weather impacts this week. We appreciate everyone's partnership in amplifying this message to your audiences. To our residents, we want to continue to encourage the 4 Ps. So first is people. Please check on loved ones, particularly any elderly or those that might have any access or functional needs, to ensure that they have what they need to be safe and warm. Second is pipes. Please protect any exposed pipes from freezing by wrapping them and letting faucets drip to prevent any breaks. Third is your pets. We encourage residents, where possible, to bring in pets indoors and provide adequate shelter. And finally, plants. Cover any plants that may be sensitive to the freezing weather. We encourage all of our residents to take the time to prepare now. As we've seen and probably will continue to see, the conditions can change quickly, and taking proactive steps today and tomorrow will significantly help folks and their families remain safe. Right now, our city is in a preparedness phase for this operation, and we have 2 current main objectives. First is to put the resources in place that serve our residents prior to any impacts being felt. And secondly, to provide timely and accurate public information before and during the event. Our Emergency Operations Center has been monitoring the forecast and anticipating any impacts this week and late last week. We will increase our staffing beginning Thursday morning at 5 a.m. to coordinate any citywide responses. As Rick mentioned, we will provide daily briefings throughout this event, as well as updates, and hold press availabilities to keep everyone informed. I also want to mention that we are closely monitoring travel conditions into the city, especially as we prepare to host fans and teams for the Cotton Bowl. Our priority is ensuring safe travel for the teams and their fans visiting Dallas and the Metroplex, allowing them to enjoy their time here safely. We will continue collaborating with all of our regional partners to ensure that impacts to any fans that are in town are kept minimal. In closing for EMCR, I want to remind everyone that the forecast can change. The system we're monitoring is shifted, including from yesterday to today, and it may change again in the next 24 hours. Our posture right now is to continue monitoring and adapting our response actions accordingly. I want to thank everyone again for your time. We're now going to provide specific department updates prior to taking any questions, and many of our department directors are available to address any specifics. Thank you again to everyone for coming together to provide for safety for our residents and guests. And Rick, I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Next up will be Office of Homeless Solutions Director Christine Crosby.
Thank you, Rick. Christine Crosley, Office of Homeless Solutions. We are in our third day of inclement weather sheltering, which happens when we reach either 36 degrees in wet weather with a 50% or more precipitation prediction, or 32 degrees in dry weather for 3 hours or longer between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. Those conditions were reached Sunday when we opened up shelter in partnership with Austin Street, who is our contractor leading operations at the Fair Park Grand Place building, which is 3701 Grand Avenue. As of today at 2 p.m., we will also be opening up a secondary site, which is the old Austin Street building at 2929 Hickory, because we are reaching capacity at our first building. Should we reach capacity at the secondary site, we will continue to explore a tertiary site and update as we have that. If you look on the OHS website, which is dallascityhall.com, and then Office of Homeless Solutions, there is a red banner there that will take you straight to the inclement weather shelter operations information, which will take you to the pickup zones for transport to shelter. This is important because there are 3 zones where there are regular pickups throughout the day. They run all day long and can be reached by going to those locations. If anyone has a pickup outside of those locations, you can also call 311. We have a special 311 line that is monitored 24/7 during inclement weather shelter. And so during the day, those calls will be directly transferred to the outreach teams that work on this across our sector. In the evenings, those calls switch to 911, and then Dallas Fire Rescue is picking people up. We also have a frequently asked questions that will be going up on our website soon that answers a lot of the questions we've come across in terms of people being able to come into shelter. It is ADA accessible. If you cannot reach it on your own, we will come get you. Pets are not a barrier. We actually have 4 dogs at Fair Park and another 2 at Oaklawn, another shelter that is open right now. And we're very grateful for partnership with Dallas Animal Services and their work with SPCA that are making that possible. We also, if people are refusing to come inside, have a list of identified recreation centers in each district on our website where cold weather packs are available. These consist of hand warmers, hats, gloves, and I believe socks, and a Mylar blanket. We really encourage people to come outside. This weather is extremely dangerous, but if you are going to stay outside, please get one of these cold weather packs. It will be your best chance for survival. And in terms of capacity right now, as of today, we have 850, as of this morning, we had 855 individuals at Fair Park Grand Place and 53 individuals at Oaklawn United Methodist. I will turn it back over to Rick.
Thank you, Christine. Because you mentioned Dallas Animal Services, Paul, I'm going to change the order real quick and move you up next. Director of Dallas Animal Services, Paul Ramon.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Christine, for that. Dallas Animal Services is prepared, as usual, to respond to lack of care weather calls. To date, since the incident began Sunday, DAS has responded to a total of 355 calls, but of those, 58 were weather calls. So we will have staff out 24/7 monitoring and responding to these calls. We do want to make it known that for some pets, this weather is built into their systems, such as huskies and so forth. So if you see those types of animals out there, it may not be a concern as they're built for that type of weather. But for all others, please make sure that you're calling 311. If you have a concern, we will respond and we will provide the necessary resources. Owners are responsible for ensuring that the animals have the proper shelter, care, and necessities to stay warm if they're not indoors. But I would insist that if you're cold, they're cold. If you have the capacity to do so, please bring your animals indoors. And DES will continue to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Next, we're going to switch to Transportation and Public Works Director Gus Concarly and Streets, Tina Richardson of the Streets Department.
Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Kevin. Just a couple of things. We're working on both sides, the transportation operation side and the street side. And I will let Tina elaborate on the street side, but on the transportation operation side, like the traffic signals and so on. So we have technicians on standby just in case there is a power outage and or signals that go on flash. But these will be prioritized based on the location and the access to critical facilities. And part of the prioritization will be also if there is any knockdowns on the traffic signals, that those will be treated first before we handle the other items. As far as the street operation is concerned, like I said, we started treating the roadways and bridges yesterday with Brian, and we're getting ready and getting crews ready to come in tomorrow. So with that, Tina, do you want to add a little bit more on the street operation, please?
Gus, I think you
Tina,
can
can you-
close your camera.
Tina, can you hear us?
Gus, I think you have to turn off your camera and hers on. Okay, she's having some audio issues, so we'll come back to Tina Richardson. Next up is Sarah Standifer, the Director of Dallas Water Utilities.
Good afternoon, Sarah Standifer, Dallas Water Utilities. The utility itself is prepared to support our Transportation and Public Works Department as we prepare with 50 trucks that will be available to sand major thoroughfares throughout the event. From a Dallas Water Utilities perspective, we would ask that you check your automatic sprinklers, turn them into an off position, and also be aware and know where your private shutoff valve is in the event that you have any pipes that freeze to address any flooding that may occur in your house. Staff will be around the clock starting Wednesday at 6:30 and will continue through the event.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Next, we're going to go to the Sanitation Department and Cliff Gillespie.
Thanks, Rick. Good afternoon. I'm Clifton Gillespie, Director of Sanitation for the City of Dallas. As part of our response to this winter weather event, Sanitation is implementing our winter weather operations plan. Our crews will report to work on Thursday and Friday as conditions safely allow, and our supervisors will assess road conditions early each morning to determine whether solid waste collection operations can proceed safely. At this time, our customers on Thursday and Friday routes should assume that their garbage and recycling collections will occur as scheduled unless we announce otherwise. However, due to the potential weather and resource constraints, there may be delays or postponements. Routes serviced by automated trucks may be able to operate as planned, while routes requiring manual labor could experience additional delays. We encourage our customers to stay informed by checking the city's website, following our social media channels, or using the Dallas Sanitation mobile app for real-time updates. We appreciate the community's patience and understanding as we work to deliver services safely under potentially challenging conditions. Thank you. Back to Rick.
Thank you, Cliff. Next, we're going to go to the Dallas Fire Department for an update from Interim Assistant Chief Scott Pecco.
Good afternoon. I hope all are well. As we've been through this before, we have established cold weather plans and also shelter procedures that we usually follow for times like this. We will continue to have support for our fire stations, as well as some of the additional equipment made ready for when we need it. We've also built plans for salt distribution and some of the station support aspects to ensure that our firefighters are kept safe and sheltered as well during this cold time. As far as operations is considered, I've mentioned that we have the transportation aspect for the shelters, and that we will continue to assist with that. And we have paramedics staffing the shelters as well to assist with some of those aspects as well. We are ready to upstaff and continue to expand the transportation aspect if needed, and as needs continue to call for it. We will continue to monitor the situation and stay on top of that and stay ahead of what we need to be able to do that. We also have aspects of our saw module, our saw crew, to go out and help with down trees and clear roadways for any emergency response, as well as building alternate plans for lighter type vehicles to build a better way of access for some emergency response, such as down wires and water cutoff. Additional considerations we have is just a heightened situational awareness, knowing that we need to be a little bit more careful on the roads, understanding that some things are out of our control. So for everyone to be prepared a little bit more, that we need to understand that some of these accident scenes, some of these emergency scenes will be expanded. And so it will be for the safety of our firefighters and the people that we serve. We have provided additional information and bulletins out to our members and our incident commanders to ensure that we monitor exposure of our firefighters in any scene to the cold. And that's something that we want to pass on to the public to ensure that monitor the exposure of cold, and that it can sneak up on you, and be ready for that. And be ready for it as we move forward and maintain that situational awareness. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief. Next, we're going to check in with the Dallas Police Department and Interim Executive Assistant Police Chief Jesse Reyes.
So for DPD, our security operations obviously remain at 24/7. Staffing has been adjusted to make sure that we have an appropriate amount of personnel. We begin our cold weather preparation for not just the officers, but our vehicles also. And currently, along with the city marshal, providing security services at Fair Park.
All right,
So,
thank you, Chief. And again, now we're going to switch to Dallas Manager of Public Information, Jennifer Brown, who will announce each media organization in the order of registration for specific questions for our department managers.
Thank you so much, Rick, and thank you to everyone that's joined us today. So as Rick had mentioned, I will go down the list in the order of registration and invite any of our media contacts to ask.
Jennifer, let me break in just a second. I jumped over the Department of Aviation and Lauren Rounds, who is the Manager of Public Information. This has been some activity at Dallas Love Field. Lauren, thank you.
I was going to chime in and say you forgot about me. So the Department of Aviation, I'm sorry, let me back up. My name is Lauren Rounds. I'm the Public Information Manager for the Department of Aviation, which oversees Dallas Love Field Airport, Dallas Executive, and the Dallas Vertiport. As part of the Department of Aviation standard inclement weather protocols, our team has begun briefings with DTN, our airline partners, and other stakeholders, with the latest being at 10 a.m. today. Just for a little bit of background, the airport / the Department of Aviation is responsible for pre-treating and clearing the runways, taxiways, propeller way, and pedestrian walkways at the airport. We will be working closely with the Department of Transportation / Public Works to maintain the streets around the airport as well. For our fleet at the airport, we do have several sweeper trucks on hand as well as trailers and over 40,000 gallons of de-icer on hand and ready to be deployed. Actual pre-treatment of our surfaces, specifically the airfield, will occur much closer to the anticipated start time of the precipitation and then follow from there. And then in addition, our airline partners are responsible for de-icing their own aircraft as well as managing flight schedules. From the airport standpoint, we are recommending that passengers arrive at least 2 hours before any scheduled departure time and to anticipate a higher volume in the terminal with the Cotton Bowl happening this weekend and then also people finishing up their holiday travel. We recommend that you follow Dallas Love Field on all social major platforms for the latest updates and travel advisories at our airport.
Thank you, Lauren, and sorry to skip over you. Okay, Jennifer, let's now go to questions from the media.
Thank you again. So the first outlet that I have registered here, do we have anyone from CBS that would like to ask a question? We'll invite everyone to ask one question in the first round, then move it to a second round and have a last call. Do I have someone from CBS?
Hi, Steve Pickett. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe it was Jason from the network before I chime in.
Steve, yes, I have you on the list. Please go ahead.
Steve Pickett, CBS News Texas here in Dallas. What I wanted to get from the city is an overall assessment based on the information you have by providing this today on your concern about weather conditions, the forecasting that you're hearing, providing the services to the citizens, whether you're telling citizens about your concern about delivering those services as it stands today. Are there real concerns about providing those services, whether it be water service, sanitation, public safety, et cetera?
Thank you.
Kevin, do you want to answer that?
Thank you for the question. You know, at this point, being in a preparedness phase, it gives us an opportunity to look at all the resources available, to make sure those resources are prepared and ready to be deployed on a moment's notice and to meet the service demands that are to come. And given all of those considerations and where we've been in preparing, I feel comfortable with the resources we have available. Again, we remain in constant communication with our partners at the county, the state. In case there are resource gaps that are identified, we can get additional resources in. At this point, we have not made any additional resource requests, and I think that gives further clarity of like how we're feeling about our ability to provide continued service to our residents.
Thank you so much. And next I have on the list Telemundo, please. Anyone from Telemundo represented that would like to ask a question? Telemundo? All right, we'll check in next with the Associated Press.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Great, this is James Singh with AP. I appreciate it. Yeah, just if somebody could give a little bit of an overview of what residents might expect on Thursday as far as the roads. Like if you know, roads will be mostly be able to be cleared, or if there's a lot that aren't going to be able to be, you know, crews won't be able to get to. Just kind of a sense of what we might be looking at on Thursday.
I'll start. This is Gaston Carley, with Director of Department of Transportation and Public Works. So we are focused on the major thoroughfares, and like I mentioned before, we've already started pre-treating the roadways, and there will be sanding operation that is going on the main thoroughfares and dark bus routes and priority roadways that provide access to critical infrastructure such as hospitals and fire stations and so on. We are also starting to bring in staff tomorrow, and we will be going on to 12-hour operational 12-hour operation per shift. And we will be, like I said, going through the progression from the main thoroughfares into the secondary routes. Tina, would you like to add anything more to that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Gus. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we have started our brine operation on yesterday. We brined a lot of the bridges and overpasses and also some of the hotspot areas. So we will continue that. We're making brine today, continue that tomorrow. I was asked if anybody wanted to do get rollout shots of the trucks going out with the brine, then we can assist with that on tomorrow. So other than that, we are working with Dallas Water Utilities. And as Sarah said earlier, we have about 50 trucks ready and loaded to go. We'll be ready. We'll start our 12-hour shifts at 12 a.m. tomorrow night. And we have about 125 staff on board to assist with this, and more needed if the weather turns worse. So thank you all.
And just to add, Jennifer, before you take the next question, if you don't have to travel, stay at home. That would be the safest thing. Is there anything that Chief Reyes or Chief Peko want to add on that?
Chief Reyes, so definitely, if you don't have to travel, stay home. Less cars on the road mean less accidents, and obviously for the police department, if we're stuck on accidents, it's going to make it very difficult to be responding to other calls for service.
This is Chief Peko. I can add into that as well. As I explained, for some of these accidents, we will expand that accident scene to make sure that everybody's slowing down and to ensure the safety of everyone. So 100%, if you don't need to get out, please don't get out. That just causes more traffic out there, makes for an unsafe situation for everyone. So if you do see the flashing lights and the emergency scenes that are out there, please understand that we will be working at probably a little bit slower pace to ensure the fact that we make sure that everybody's being safe and that everybody has that safe shadow to work within.
Okay, thank you for that. I will go back to Telemundo as I see from the chat that their mic issues have been resolved. Please, Telemundo, let us know if you have a question.
Hi, testing that y'all can actually hear me.
It's breaking up a little bit, but yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my question is on the distribution of sandbags. ¿Habrá distribución de bolsas de arena? De ser así, ¿en qué puntos de la ciudad?
I have Claudia here on that.
Yes, and the question is if there's going to be a sandbag distribution and in what particular points. So do we have that response in English, and then we can definitely translate? And I know that we have an interview scheduled for Telemundo at 1:30 today. Thank you.
I'll take that. That's not an item that we're considering at this time. If anything changes, we'll certainly look at that. But again, I think that the main thing for folks, if they're looking to be prepared, is people, pipes, pets, and plants.
Bueno, y como acaba de contestar Kevin, hasta el momento todavía no hay un plan exacto para la distribución de los sacos de arena, pero sí la recomendación, como enfatizó, es proteger las plantas, lo que son las pipas y también la protección de los animales. Eso es lo que se está recomendando hasta el momento. Gracias.
Thank you so much. All right, next on the list here we have KLIF, WBAP. Any representatives? Okay, we'll keep going. And do we have anyone from Univision here? Any questions from Univision?
Yes, hi, how are you? This is Miguel Ángel Piñero. I'm going to do the same in English and Spanish, please, if possible. And it's for the police department. And I would like to know what could be the biggest difference between the patrolling process to guarantee the security in a regular basis and compared to this extreme situation. Un poco la diferencia entre el patrullaje y la seguridad regular, ¿no? En días normales, y cuál puede ser la diferencia en un escenario de tiempo extremo como este?
Muchas
Okay,
gracias,
so I
Miguel.
think
Gracias por
Yeah, I
estar
think I
con
understood the question. So the basic issue, obviously, is a response to calls for service. And what I mentioned earlier about staying off the roads, if we're in inclement weather like we are, which causes more accidents, that allows less time for officers to answer normal calls for service. And so I think our response is, again, if you don't need to be traveling, don't be traveling in this type of weather.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just in case Claudia wanted to translate any of that information, holding for a second.
Así es. Básicamente a todos los medios en español, lo que dice el Departamento de Policía, las indicaciones son de que deben evitar estar manejando en las carreteras, al menos que sea absolutamente necesario para evitar cualquier riesgo. Esa es la recomendación por parte del Departamento de Policía de Dallas. Gracias.
Thank you again. Next on the list, I have KRLD, please. Any questions from KRLD? All right, how about the Dallas Morning News?
Everybody, hey, it's Everton Bailey, the Dallas Morning News. Really appreciate you guys doing this. Sorry if I missed this earlier, but how many road plows and de-icers does the city have overall in anticipation for this? I know that the aviation department said they had 40,000 gallons of de-icer, but what about the city as a whole?
This is Tina Richardson from the Transportation and Public Works. We actually have 8 snowplows that are ready to go. And we have the ability to make 20,000 gallons of brine each day. We've used, I think, 12,000 gallons yesterday. We're making brine today, expected to use about 8,000 gallons today. And tomorrow we will be able to provide 12,000 gallons on tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You? Okay. And any questions from KERA? Checking in with KERA. How about D Magazine? Do we have D Magazine on the line? Okay. Vision Quest. Vision Quest. CBS News. CBS News. NBC5 Telemundo.
Hello, David Goins with NBC5. Thanks, Jennifer. Most have been asked and answered, but I was just curious, it could be Kevin or Gus or maybe Tina. Has anything changed as far as like how the city of Dallas responds to inclement weather? Has there been anything that's maybe learning from more recent storms, or it could be in terms of resources as well, if there's more to bring to bear now than maybe a few years ago? Thanks.
I'll take that. So thank you for that question. The number one thing I'll say is, independent of the incident type, the after action process is as important as any other action we take. And so going back many years, to include the Storm Uri in 2021, taking our ability to identify gaps in resources or capabilities or capacities and filling those is very important to us. And so you see us leaning as forward as possible for any number of types of incidents, but specific to the one today that we're discussing, it's all about making sure that we have resources that are available to be deployed and accessed by our residents as quickly as possible. And in addition to that, you see additional capacity being made by our partners in OHS and their stakeholders to provide additional space for our neighbors, unhoused neighbors to be able to be safe, to be warm, making sure that all of our ability to sand and brine roadways is up to capacity. So those are a number of things that we take very seriously. And as soon as this event is done, we'll do an after action for this. And if there are things that we can improve upon, we certainly will include that in future planning and budgeting efforts to fill any gaps.
Thank you, Kevin. All right, moving on to the list. Next, I have Spectrum News. Do we have a question from Spectrum News? How about WFAA? The Weather Channel. Fox News.
This is Chris Oberholtz. I'm actually with Fox Weather in New York. I'm not sure if somebody with Fox News is on the line or not. I appreciate your time this morning. My question, it maybe is more ERCOT related, but I wanted to ask Kevin, if from a city perspective, are you guys taking anything to prepare in case of extended power outages and ensuring that the power grid will remain stable? Right now, the National Weather Service is calling for about 1/10 of an inch of ice possible for the Dallas metro area. Snow levels are still kind of up in the air since we're right on that rain snow border. But I just kind of wanted to know from a city standpoint, what precautions are being made in case of extended power outages.
Thank you for that question. So on the city side of things, we have invested heavily in fixed site generators at many of our city facilities, so that if there are impacts and we need to provide emergency warming services or overnight shelter to our residents, we are prepared to do that. Most importantly, though, and top of mind for many of our residents that made it through 2021 and the storm, is that we continue to be in close communication with Encore. I spoke to them yesterday, and we'll talk further today. I'll leave it to them to kind of talk about their preparedness efforts, but needless to say, they are staffing up and creating more capacity so that if there are any impacts, they're able to quickly resolve those. And then again, at the ERCOT level, much of that is regulated by the state. And there's been many efforts at the legislature and others to continue to build future energy generation capabilities. But at the city level, with the things that we can control and the investments we've been able to make, I feel comfortable with where we're at. And the last thing I'll say is, we'll have Encore with us when we activate the Emergency Operations Center. So if there are any immediate impacts, we'll be ready to work on those collaboratively with them to best serve our residents.
And this is Rick. I just wanted to add, if you have any specific questions for either Encore or Atmos or ERCOT, please direct those calls directly to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I have one more outlet on the list, KTVT. Any questions from KTVT?
It's essentially a round robin. That's CBS. That's me, Steve Pickett again. So
Oh,
I'll wait
appreciate
if you
that.
haven't gone through all of them. 'Cause I've got
Okay,
a
actually,
follow-up
that
question.
is the perfect segue right back to you, Steve. Do you have a follow-up question?
Yes, and you may have answered this, but are there detailed numbers for the city of Dallas on how many streets have already been pre-treated? Many residents get a little frustrated when we have these events that they have major thoroughfares that are clear, but they can't get out of their neighborhoods because of the ice. And so people want to know if their specific streets are being treated or responded to. So can you give us a sense of how many within the grid of the city are actually pre-treated and prepared for residents?
Steve, this is Tina Richardson. We don't normally pre-treat or say in residential streets. We mainly stick to the thoroughfares and the bridges and the inclines. However, if the fire department, police department need to get in or out of a particular street, then we'll go ahead and sand the street, but we don't really have the resources to sand residential streets.
But how many of your major thoroughfares, avenues, boulevards, et cetera, do you have that face treatment by the city?
Okay, I don't have an exact number, but yesterday we went through the whole city based on what we normally pre-treat. So most of the thoroughfares were done. I don't have an exact number. I can get that for you, but I don't have an exact number. So today we'll go a second pre-treatment and a second pre-treatment on those.
Okay, I'll follow up. Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. Moving through the list for the second round here, I'll ask a little more quickly. Telemundo, do you have a follow-up question? Associated Press?
No, thank you.
Thank you. WBAP? Univision? Dallas Morning News? KERA? Fox? Any final questions here?
Question from NBC5. It's Alicia Barrera. How does the city work with school districts, especially for any perhaps last minute calls to cancel or delay schools? Is that something that the city partakes in?
I'll take that. So the city, I guess if you're talking more about open and closure notices for the school districts, the National Weather Service leads a call. I believe those calls are very early morning hours, like 3 and 5 a.m. For the school districts to be able to get the latest on the weather and make decisions on opening and closing. Again, the DISD and the city remain in communication for this event. If there's any resource needs they have that we can provide, or vice versa, we communicate frequently. But I believe the intent of the question was more on open and closure notices.
Thank you.
Thank you again for all of your questions and attending today. If you do have any other media inquiries, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at media@dallas.gov. Back to Rick for closing out the press conference. Thank you.
I have a question. I have a question from the Dallas Observer. Is there time for that?
Sure, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, my question is pointed at the Department of Homeless Solutions and also Interim Chief Peko. I know that there have been extensive efforts to provide free transportation for the homeless community to the the inclement weather shelters. And my question is, once the temperatures rise above freezing and all of those people are evicted, are there equal efforts to transport those people away from Fair Park or to mitigate some of the congestion that might happen?
Thank you for that question. Once we are shutting down inclement weather shelter, everyone is given a DART bus pass to go wherever it is they need to go organically. If someone has ADA issues, we will of course help them. And then we have always employed security at any particular site to make sure that people are not staying, especially at Fair Park.
Thank you.
That's a very good question. Thank you very much. It's Chief Peko. When it comes to outtaking from the source, from the shelters, we have not thought through that. We have not worked through that. More of the emergency is where we base it on, and looking at some of the aspects of when people are admitted into a shelter, that's the basis of emergency. But we do allow, and we monitor some of that situation, and we do allow and have that option to be able to be open with Office of Homeless Solutions, that we can provide some staffing for vans, as well as support what we can for the process. We do stand by always, as we have those shelters already staffed with medics. We do stand by for any medical emergencies that may be needed prior to their leaving the shelters.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us. We do not have a virtual briefing schedule for tomorrow, but we do anticipate having them on Thursday and Friday. And we will send out news advisories either the night before or the first thing in the morning to make sure that you're aware of it. And we'll do it just as we did this afternoon with the WebEx. So again, any other questions, please email us at media@dallas.gov, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. And don't forget that you can also, we want to get the word out that any non-emergency requests for service should go to 311. 311 in Dallas is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So that's the quickest way for any non-emergency requests. And they will be able to assist should something need to be escalated to 911. Thank you very much.